Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for attending today's webcast, AutoCAD Electrical, Working with Projects. Our presenter today is Rick France. He's a solutions engineer with Hagerman & Company. We're also joined on the line by Clayton Petmiller, also a solutions engineer with Hagerman & Company, and he's going to be helping out with questions as we go. Before we get started, I'll let you know that you're in listening only mode. If you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the question panel located on the right-hand side of your screen. They'll be addressed throughout by Clayton and at the end as well by Rick. As we close down the session today, you'll be prompted to fill out a short survey, and we ask that you take a few moments to fill that out for us. This webcast qualifies for one AIA continuing education credit. If you'd like to receive this credit, you can leave your AIA number on question 4 of our survey. Additionally, all registrants will receive a follow-up email tomorrow containing a link for the recording of this presentation. With that, I will hand things over to Rick.
All right, well, good morning. Glad you could come, and let me get my screen minimized here so I can see my whole screen. And basically we're going to be talking about projects. This is part 1 of a 2-part webinar. The other one will be coming up later in the month. I'll give you information on that at the end. Part 2 will be focusing on title block setup. But for this one, we're going to be focusing on working with a project and just going through the various commands and things that you have available. Basically, in AutoCAD Electrical, a project is a set of interrelated electrical drawings. So in order for the drawings to interact with each other, they have to be in a project. Just to give you a short example, I've got a project open on my screen, and I'm going to go over here to the motor starter right here on this 3-phase motor, and I can surf, and it shows me everywhere in this project on other drawings that this particular motor starter appears, and I can just simply click on it, go right to it. It'll open up the drawing and zoom in on that particular motor starter on the single phase. I can then go over to the one-line drawing, which is right here. We'll go to that one, see the motor starter on my single line drawing, or to the panel drawing, which I believe is this one right here. So I'm able to surf and see, because the product sees this motor starter as the same motor starter, whether it's on a panel, a point-to-point, a single line, single phase, or 3-phase drawing. It understands this is all the same motor starter. You cannot do that unless you have your drawings in a project. That is the way the product is designed. So I could set up on a drawing that was not in a project interrelated within that drawing, but it's not going to be able to connect up and work with other drawings. Excuse me. So the project itself works with what's called the project manager. As you see, I have that opened over here on the right-hand side of my screen. You can activate a project. You can have only one project active at a time. So if I come over here to Treadstone, right-click and activate, it will then, let me do one other thing here real quick. Well, I'll go ahead and do it with this drawing. It will then activate another project, make it the active one. But if you notice, I still have the drawing open from the one that I just closed. So here's a habit you want to get into, because if I was to go and just delete this footprint on this particular drawing, there is an access database working in the background. So what happens is, when I deleted it from this drawing, it did not update the access database for the project that this drawing is in correctly. It would have updated some of the information, but it wouldn't update all of it. And so this particular device could still be in a bill of material. It could still be in a schematic list. It could still be in the project, even though I deleted it from this drawing, and it had no effect on the current project because the drawing doesn't belong to that project. So it's a good habit to always close your drawings when you from the old project when you open up one open up a different project. Now there's no problem opening up drawings from other projects so that you can copy circuits or copy some type of footprint or component that's in it from one project to another. But you don't want to make editing changes because of that access database that is working in the background for each individual project. Now when you go into a project, there are certain files. I'm looking at it from Windows right now. There are certain files that go with each project. One of them is the WDP file, which is right here. Every project has one. You see WD a lot in the program because the software, when it was first created, was actually called Wire Diagram. And it was made by VIA. Autodesk bought them out sometime in the early 2000s and produced AutoCAD Electrical. But all these WD files, that's where they come from. And this particular one is WDP. Now the WDP file contains things such as your drawing paths within the project, where they're located on your computer as far as the file path, that is stored in the WDP file. If you have any type of folder structure, so you can see here in this treadstone, I've got 5 folders. That folder structure is also stored in the WDP file. In addition, if I went to the drawing properties for a particular drawing in the project, these descriptions and the section and subsection, all of that is stored in that WDP file. I don't know if you've noticed before, but if you've ever tried to copy a drawing from one project to another, it loses the descriptions in those sections and subsections. That's because that information is stored in the WDP file, not in the drawing. So that information is also stored in there. In addition, any project settings. So settings such as your ladder width, your spacing, setup, anything you see here, any of this information, what styles of arrows you're using, PLC styles, your loop, your dot, your numbering system for your wire numbers and your cross-reference and your components, how you're going to do the item numbering in your project. All of this information is stored in that WDP file. So it's a pretty important file that you don't want to mess with. You can actually open it up in Notepad and make changes to it, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to screw up the whole project. So I always advise people don't mess with it. Just let the software manage it itself. In addition, there's a file up here, the EPX file. This is another file that is automatically maintained by the software. Don't try to edit it. Don't try to delete it. Just leave it alone, let the software manage this particular one. Now the nice thing about this one is if you ever accidentally deleted it, it will automatically create it back again once you change out of the project and back in. So I'm going to go ahead, I deleted it, activate it, I'll go right back to the project and you can see it recreated that file. So that one, if it ever accidentally gets deleted, it will recreate automatically, but don't try to edit it because you can mess up the entire project. So those are a couple of files that go with every project that you need to know about. Now what I want to show you is some other support files that I particularly think is very, very nice to maintain. I keep them in a folder called Support under my company data. We're not going to go through all these files today, but we're going to take a look at a couple of them. These two I've never seen much information about. It's a default installation and default location code. Basically, it's just default.inst. It's just an ASCII file, and you can put in there different things to keep everybody using the same installation codes, the same location codes throughout every project, and keep everybody using the same verbiage. How these work is if I was to go to the project, right-click on a component, you can see I don't have an installation location code. If I use the project tab here, you'll see down here include external list, because this one's going on my sub-panel right. I don't have that on here. I could just select it, include external list, and there's everything in the list that was not included in the project already. Select it. I could use that information. Now this checkbox has to be activated once every drawing session. Once I close AutoCAD, it goes back off. But here you can see I've got the same information that was in that file. So when I update the drawing, I'm just going to go ahead and let it go through and do the update. It will use that file. Now, those same files are available for my project, my drawing properties. So if I come over here to drawing properties, see here where I've got installation location code that I can set for the drawing. If I hit project, notice it's already checked. So I could select from it and use that same information. Keeps everybody consistent using the same information. But those are just two files that I particularly think is pretty valuable when I'm doing work. The WDT and WD title file here, this has to do with your title block and your descriptions. We're going to cover those in part 2. So we're not going to touch those today. We're going to cover those in part 2. A couple of other ones that I think are important is to develop a good description file that works for your company. That way everybody's using the same description. And what this particular one deals with is, if I came in here, let me just go to model space here. That'd be a little bit easier. Go to edit component, and that's the file we're looking at here. It's the WD description.wdd. This is another one just like that default location installation that I found very valuable to keep working, to keep up to date and keep everybody using the same terminology throughout every project. One other one that people probably don't know a lot about is this WD_fam for family.dat. This allows you to where if your standards are different than what they use for family codes, for instance, out of the box they use PW for power supplies. I prefer PS. They use M for motor starter, and I prefer MS. So I can set in this file, it's basically a pointer to wherever it uses PW, comma, I want it to use PS. And you can see here I've added to this file MOT for motor that I want to change to MTR. And while in this particular project already it's using the PS for the power supplies, and if you looked at the motor starter, it's using the MS, I purposely have not updated or re-tagged this particular project so that the motors are still MOT as they are out of the box. And so later on we'll come back to that and you'll see how that file works, because it basically works when you do the update re-tag, or it'll work as you're adding objects also. Little side note on that particular file, if you edit it, you have to close AutoCAD and reopen it. It only loads one time when you first open AutoCAD. So I went ahead and made the change so that it was ready to go in here. I just haven't ran it yet. Lastly, well, the only other thing you see in here is there's a lisp routine. And I'm going to show you what that's set up to do. It's only in there so I can show you how you can make it execute on every drawing. Now the way this product works, out of the box, there are some settings. I'm going to go to the project here and right click on it, and you'll see these settings. This is the settings that I've changed them to, but basically this is the WD.ENV file, the wire diagram environment file. It gets loaded every time you open up AutoCAD Electrical, and there's a lot of things you can do here that will be time savers in using this file. Everything that's been set out that I've changed in there is in here, so it's not exactly out of the box. But the main one, in my opinion, is this ACAD path first, which I have activated and turned on. So let me explain how AutoCAD Electrical finds what it's looking for. Out of the box, if this was turned off, when it's looking for something, the first place it's going to look is the project settings here. Let me close this. Now I'm going to go to the project properties. First place it's going to look is the schematic libraries here and the panel footprint libraries here, however you have it set up. So this is where it looks first. The second place it looks are the settings that are in that environment file. So if it can't find what it's looking for, the next place it's going to look are these settings right here, which are coming from the environment file. The third place it will look are the options here in AutoCAD for the support file search path. I personally like to reverse that sequence. So by setting AutoCAD path first to 1, it reverses the sequence. So the first place it looks is here, the second place is that environment file, and the third place is the project properties. I found a lot of value in reversing that process, and I'm just going to point out a couple of them here at this time. So the first thing I'm going to do is this particular project I'm in right now was set up in 2015. I no longer have 2015 on my computer. So if I came up here to the icon menu and I tried to put a push button on this drawing, it can't find it. Has no idea where that push button is, because since it's been reversed, it still can't find it. It wouldn't find it in my stuff because I wouldn't have the push button. But you can see that down here it is looking for 2015. Normally, if I wouldn't have reversed it, this would be up top and all this information down here would be at the bottom. Now this has nothing to do with the sequence here that they can't find it. It can't find it simply because the libraries on this particular project are set to 2015. If I still had 2015 on my computer, it would find the 2015 data and it would have used it, but it would have been the 2015 data, not the 2018. But most people, when they hit this issue, it's because they've upgraded from an older version to a new version and they've removed that older version off their computer. So here's one of the reasons I like the AutoCAD path first. If I come here to the properties of this project, I'll open up schematic libraries. A lot of YouTube videos, articles out there that you'll read will tell you when you have customization to add your customization locations to this point, each project like this. The downside to that is you have to have it in each project. By setting the AutoCAD path first to have it in my support path up here of my AutoCAD, I can put that in AutoCAD and I only have to have it in one place. I no longer have to have it in my each and every project. Here's where it comes into play. This is set to 2015. I need to update this project to 2018. So I'm going to hit default right here. That will upgrade my paths to 2018, but notice what it did. It removed all my custom paths. So they are no longer there in the project settings. Now I could fix that in that WD.ENV file by going in there and adding my custom paths, but I'm going to have to do that. It's not the easiest thing to do, we'll put it that way. It's a lot harder to do that than it is to add it up here and just simply set that AutoCAD path first. Now, just because I did the schematic libraries does not update the panel footprints, so I'm going to go back to panel footprints, hit default, and you see those 3 custom categories or locations, they're gone. So that's one reason I use the AutoCAD path first. So I can always just come in here, hit default, and be done with it. And I don't have to go to each project and make sure that they have all the correct paths for any customization I've done, because I'm a big proponent of keeping all my customization separate from what's out of the box. And I do that by using these paths. So that updated this particular one. This is something you'll probably hit sooner or later, that you need to come in here and hit that default button. It needs to be done on each library. You just select the actual library, hit default, select the panel footprint library, hit default, and you're basically have upgraded this one and it's going to be able to find everything now. So now if I came in here and did that push button again, no problem. It found it exactly where it was supposed to be located in the 2018 path. So that's kind of one of the tasks you have to do when you upgrade from one version to the other, is to get those libraries and any existing projects set up. Now what happens here by setting up my options here, where I have my support paths of all my customization here, I can do that in a deployment. I can do that on each individual machine, however you want to set that up, but I can add these paths in a deployment, do it one time, install it on 100 machines, and everybody gets that. So this, in my opinion, is the best place to put those paths to your customization. You can see I've got some catalog, circuits, library, reports, and support. The one rule you need to know here is the name of your library file. Let me go back here. Notice in the drawing properties here, they call their default libraries LIBS. That name is off limit. So I can't name my custom library files in a folder called LIBS, because as soon as I do that, it will mess this up. So basically you want to make sure that these are LIBS and your custom folder needs to be something else. I use the name library, but you can't use LIBS. But here in the support file search path, I basically add all my custom files and I move them to the top of the food chain, because the way AutoCAD Electrical and AutoCAD works is it'll search here. If it can't find it, it starts through here. It doesn't instantaneously. You saw how fast it clicked up. But it's going to search in sequence down through here, go to the environment file, search in sequence there, go to the project properties, search in sequence there. It happens in a blink of an eye, but that's the way it goes. So I always put my custom stuff in the top of the food chain right here. So it's the first thing that gets searched. That way, if I ever change a symbol, such as I use a fuse, this fuse here, I believe it's this fuse. It may be this fuse here. One of these two out of the box. I think it's this one here on the left. Out of the box, the fuse has no description. So I have my own fuse that has the description on it so that I could put in the description information here. And I named it the exact same thing. I just put it in my library, which is at the top of the food chain. So when I place it from that icon menu, it finds it, places it. We're good to go. So that's just a couple of reasons why I like to use that AutoCAD path first. Now let me show you where the WD.ENV file is on your computer. If you go to My Documents, you'll see a folder, AutoCAD E 2018, since I'm in 2018, and under there you'll see a folder called AE Data. Inside that folder is your WD.ENV file. When I was a CAD manager, I would just remove this and delete it from everybody's computer, because I wanted one WD.ENV file that everyone was using so that I didn't have to maintain 50 of them. Now on mine, I just renamed it to .bak. You can do either one, rename it or delete it, either way, as long as you have a WD.ENV file in your path. The important part here is it's got to be in the path up here. So if you do, as I do here, that's the one it's going to use. It's on my network drive. So everyone in the company is using the same exact WD.ENV file. No one has it on their local computer. It's all here on the network. Looking at this file, this is the out-of-the-box file with no changes made in the basics of it. Like the paths and AutoCAD support paths and things, this is a top to bottom red file. So what I do, instead of coming through here and searching for stuff that I want to change and customize, I just go to the bottom of the file and I set up a section here for my company where I set up anything that I'm going to change. So no matter what they have it set up above, this one wins because it's at the bottom of the file. So these are a few settings that I've found very useful to set in the WD.ENV file. And when I go from one version to another, I just take the new WD.ENV file, I copy this out of my old one, paste it in the new one, and save it, and I'm good to go. So that way I make sure if they made any changes or added anything to this file, I don't lose anything that was added in the new version, but I still have my settings working for the old, working for my product from that point forward. So the first thing I set in here is the AutoCAD path first. I set that to 1. Right here you'll see there are 3 project settings. The first one, the WD project, basically tells the software where your location of your projects are going to be saved. I'm saving them on my network drive in a folder called projects. Notice that the / is backwards to Windows. The reason being is because this is read by a Lisp routine, and a backward / in Lisp means something, and so you have to use a / in Lisp to make it read a folder or a directory structure. Now I could also do this with double slashes like that. So I could, either way would work. A double / a double backward / or a single /. Both of those will work within this file. I've just always used the /. Also, you'll notice that it's in quotes. This particular one right here wouldn't need to be in quotes because there's no spaces. But right here I've got spaces, so that's why it has to be in quotes. My habit is just to put it always in quotes so that I never have to worry about it. But that just has to do with the space here in the folder named company data. Now this one here again tells it where I'm saving my projects. So when I create a new project, it knows exactly where the projects are going to be. This one right here is for a project dialog box so that it will default to the projects folder, and this one is a save to file dialog box so it will default to the project. So this is basically 3 different dialog boxes. I'm having to tell where my projects are in this particular file. This one right here is the location of my custom reports set files. So that it knows where it is. They're in one location to where when I'm set up any custom reports, it saves it as a set file. Everybody in the company is looking at the same folder, and I only have to do it one time. Otherwise, it's looking on your local computer. This one right here, these next 2, this is telling it where to browse when I'm in a icon menu for either a schematic symbol or a footprint symbol. So basically what this one is doing, I'll go ahead and show you this. I'm on schematic icon menu. If I hit this browse button right here, it's going directly to my custom folder where I'm keeping all my customization. Because generally if I'm browsing, I'm not browsing for something out of the box. It's already in the icon menu. I'm going to be browsing for something I did custom. So I have this one browse button for the schematics going to that folder, and if I go to the panel icon menu, browse, it's going to the same folder because I keep both my footprints and my schematic symbols in the same folder. So basically that's what these 2 are doing. This one right here is for the W block command in the symbol builder. So if you go to the symbol builder and you're going to W block, right block your symbol out, this tells it, that command, where you're going to be saving those particular symbols. They're in the same location, but it's 3 different dialog boxes, so I had to define 3 different locations there. These 2 here are for the circuits. This one's for the insert circuit dialog box. This is for the user circuit dialog box. So I'm just going to show you one of them. If I came here and hit insert W block circuit, it goes straight to my custom circuit folder. The other one is for when you're creating circuits. So just a few of them there that I found very handy to set up so that it saves you from having to browse to things, because I can set them up in this WD.ENV file to where it automatically goes there in those dialog boxes. So these really have less to do with my search path here and more to do with the dialog boxes that are already built into AutoCAD Electrical. The last two here are just a couple of them I like. This one right here, I'm sure if you've ever used a product, you've gotten a message that says, do you want a Q save? Yes, no, or okay, no, always Q save. I happened to get one just a minute ago. This does not get rid of every Q save in the world, but it seems to get rid of a majority of them. So I used to say that always Q save dialog box 20, 30 times a day when I was working an 8-hour day in the product. By setting this particular variable here in my WD.ENV file, I cut it down to fewer than 10 a day. So it was a big difference in what it would made. Some of the commands evidently ignores this particular one. Another thing I've noticed in 2018 is this seems to load in my initial project. If I change to a different project here by activating it, that also seems to be disconnected, and I think that's just a little small error they need to correct, and haven't yet to do that. But that's another thing I've noticed in 2018. But this will still save you a lot of those always Q save boxes, title blocks. This right here is a setup to where when I open a drawing, such if I hit previous or next or any other type of AutoCAD Electrical open drawing command, it will load that particular lisp routine. So that's the only reason I have that particular lisp routine right here, which works with a lisp and a script, is because I wanted to show you could set up a predefined lisp routine that it will load every time you open a drawing to do particular tasks if you need it to, and you can do that with this WD open drawing command. So these are kind of my favorites. I'm not going to go through every command that's in the WD.ENV file. It's pretty in-depth. You can probably find something online that will go a lot deeper than what I have, but these are kind of my favorites that I like to use and set up, and I've been setting it up this way for years and years and just copying it forward. I'm not going to save it, but that's the WD.ENV file. Now, WD.ENV file gets loaded one time when you first open AutoCAD Electrical. If you make a change to that file, you basically have to close AutoCAD Electrical and reopen it for that change to take place. All right, so a couple of things here. Let me make sure. Okay, I want to switch here now to the NFPA demo. Activate that one. I'm going to open up a new drawing. I just opened up a blank drawing. Most of these commands will not work. Well, none of these commands will work if you do not have a drawing open. So sometimes I'll just open up an AutoCAD drawing that's not even an electrical drawing just to be able to use some of the commands. So first I want to show you 3 different methods for creating a new project. In the project manager, you can create a new project by selecting new project right here. You can also do it in the drop down here and you'll see new project right there. A couple more clicks, so I usually use this one here. Now for this one, I'm going to just call it Acme. Notice the location. That's because I set that in my WD.ENV file. I don't have to worry about browsing because it's going straight to my project location on my network because that was what was set in the WD.ENV file. Also, I like to create a folder, so it's actually going to create a folder under there for my project and create the WDP file based on my name up here. Now this one I'm going to blank out the copy settings from project file. The reason I'm doing that, if you don't have anything selected here, then whatever your active project is, that's the settings it's going to copy. So that's why I changed the NFPA demos so this would copy those settings just to be able to show you. Now we're going to come back to these next 2 buttons after we do this one, because this one's just to show you that when I create it, you can see here, if I go to the project properties, it's got the same settings if you've ever opened up that NFPA demo as NFPA demo. So it's a duplicate of that particular project. So your active project is the one it copies. Not what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and create another project. I want this one to be called, I forget what I was going to call it, Starling. So this is going to be Starling. I'm going to create the folder, but this one I am going to browse and copy Treadstone. So this one's going to copy the settings from the Treadstone project. Now, the descriptions button here, again, this is going to be covered more detailed of how I set this up in part 2 when we're working with title blocks. But for now, good habit to get into when you're going to create a new project is to go to the description. If you're creating it this way, is to go to the descriptions right here and go ahead and fill it out. So this is going to be 3651. My client's going to be Starling Enterprises. Now, if you notice, I am typing in all caps. This is information that's going to be used in my title block. We'll just call it waste incinerator. So because of that, I want it to be caps in my title block. I've got to type it in caps here, because if you type it in lowercase here, it'll be lowercase in your title block. You cannot control that separately. If you want to include in any report, any of this information in reports, you would check it here. Doesn't automatically put it in the reports, but at least it's available to put in a report if you want to. But you want to fill out these descriptions since these are going to be tied back to the title block. And again, we'll go into more detail on that in part 2. I'm going to go ahead and say OK Properties. And what that will do is create the project and go to the properties without me having to select it in there. And you can see here, it's mimicking the other product. Remember, the other project was 4.5 and 3/4, used different arrow styles. It uses a different PLC style. Also, the numbering convention of NFPA demo is %S for wire number, or %N for wire numbers. Same with components, is %F, %N. So it copied all the settings from Treadstone to this one, so I'm not reinventing the wheel constantly. Now, the downside to creating it this way, the upside to me personally, is the fact that it goes straight to this location and it creates the project name and folder for me. That's the upside to it. But the downside is, notice it did not copy any of the folder structure. It did not copy any drawings, which I didn't want it to copy drawings, but it would have been nice to have this folder structure copied. But unfortunately, this particular command does not do that. But it gives me an example to be able to show you how to add a subfolder to your projects. I go to Starling here and right-click on it. You'll see Add Subfolder. So you can do subfolders for whatever you want to. Let's say I'm going to do it different than the other projects. This is going to be my feed system. This is going to be my incineration system. And we'll do one more for the boiler system. Another thing you can do is subfolders. So let's say under incineration system, I wanted a cooling system. So I could have a subfolder under there that's just going to be my cooling. Another subfolder for something else, oil system or something. But basically, you can have subfolders under these. You can with subfolders of subfolders. So you can create whatever folder structure you want to. The thing to realize here is this is a folder structure for AutoCAD Electrical. This is not equivalent to a folder structure in Windows. Just like here in Treadstone down here, you see I've got 5 folders. If I go to Treadstone in my projects, I don't have any folders here. Likewise, when I created this one for Starling, there's no folders. It's got the 2 files I pointed out earlier, but there's no folders. That's just the way the software works. I used to go to Windows and create equivalent folders when they first came out with this. But then every time I started a new drawing, I would have to browse and make sure I'm putting it in the right location, in the right folder. And I found it was a lot more work than it was worth because I found no benefit in it. The product works best with all the drawings in the same folder, but it will work with them in separate folders. It's just harder to manage because I'm constantly having to change folders. So I gave up on that a long time ago just because I found it to be a little bit of a hassle that was unnecessary. Now let's say you've got a folder system that you don't want. You can right-click on the project and you'll see Flatten Structure, and it basically removes the entire folder system. And I can do that even on an existing one. Right click, flatten the structure on this NFPA demo one. It's got to be the active project. Let me go ahead and make it the active one. Flatten the structure. It got rid of it, the folder structure of that particular project. Had no effect on the drawings whatsoever because they're all in one folder anyways. So you don't have to use folders, but they do come in handy. And that's why I like them myself. And you'll see that in a minute when I start showing you some of the things that, the benefits of the folders. But like I said, no folder structure, no drawings. Most of the time when I create a project, I want drawings from another project because it's usually going to be somewhat similar to an existing project a lot of times. That first project I created, I'm going to have to go to a little more work to get it. But let's say I want a copy of Treadstone as is. It's for a brand new project that I'm doing for another client. For that, I can come over here to the Project tab right here on my ribbon menu. Now, a couple of things before we even do this part. I'm going to go ahead and show you I don't have to keep every project open. I only have to have the projects I want open to be able to see. So, for instance, if Starling is not a project I'm working on, and this is even though you could have multiple people in your company using AutoCAD Electrical, one person could be seeing Project 1, Project 2, and Project 3, and another person could be seeing Project 2, Project 5, and Project 7, and so on and so on. This is unique to each person's computer, what they have open. But if you have projects you don't want to see, you simply right-click and close it. So I could come through here and close out each one that I have here that I don't want or that I don't need. I'm just going to close out all three of them. Now, right, if I ever accidentally, I'm going to have to move this dialog box, close my project manager over here on the ribbon menu, hit manager, it'll open it back up. Before I do the copy project, I just want to cover two more buttons here because we're not going to cover everything on this ribbon menu. That some of it's not really related to what we're doing today, or most of it's not. But the delete project, I want to show you that one. Basically, you hit delete, go locate your project WDP file, hit open. I'm going to delete the WDP file. I'm going to delete the project drawings. Select delete files. That deletes the project. Personally, I don't use this command. Here's why. But I wanted to show it to you because it gets asked about every now and then. If I come back here, you can see it left the folder behind, and it left some residual files that were part of that folder. So it didn't delete everything except for the WD file and the drawings. So normally when I want to delete a project, I just come in here and set in Windows. I close it over here in my project manager because it's best to close it. And then I just go to Windows and simply delete the folder. Doesn't want to right now because it was probably got something still holding it, but you delete the folder, it would get rid of everything that way. It's the same thing but cleaner than just using the delete file one here. You also have a zip one. Mine won't do anything because I don't have it assigned to anything, but you can go in your WD.ENV file and tell it what zip. If you're using something like WinZip or some other type of zip program other than the one that comes with Windows, you can set it up here and you can zip a folder. I usually just go and zip it with Windows, so I haven't used that particular command in years as a result. But I just wanted to touch on them and let you know about them. Let's see. I closed minus tirith, and I didn't mean to do that. So right here, you'll see an open project. So I'm going to go ahead and hit open. Click back, find the WDP file, hit open, makes it the active project. So just like anything else, just like closing it, you can open them. It's also located under here in that drop down. But in this particular instance, I want to create a new project. So I'm going to come up here to copy. This command is a great command. I only have one thing I don't like about it. I'll point that in a minute. It's just a pet peeve of mine. But the one rule here is if whatever project you're copying, no one can have any drawings open, because with this command you're going to be copying folder structure and drawings as well. So if anyone has a drawing open in that project, this command will bomb out. So you have to make sure no one's in the project before you run this particular copy command. Now, if I wanted to copy minus Cherith, I could hit copy active project. In this case, I want to browse and get Treadstone because that's the one I'm going to copy. And it's just getting that WDP file. I know no one's in the project. By the way, you can look at click on the drawings and it will tell you if someone's got that particular drawing open. So you can kind of check them out if you need to ahead of time. We'll hit OK. This is what I don't like about the command. It doesn't automatically create your folder or your project name. So if I come back here, I have to create a folder for it. In this particular case, I'm going to create a folder and name it Arkham. We'll go inside of Arkham and we'll create the file name. So I had to create the folder and I had to type my project name twice as a result. But that's just a pet peeve of mine. It's like it should be able to just do it like the other command and create the folder and everything and only have to type it once. But unfortunately that one doesn't. So here I could pick which drawing. So if I wanted to just get the schematic diagrams, I could come in here and select those and say process, just the same way you do with anything else when you see this particular dialog box. I'm going to do all, get all the drawings and hit OK. Now this right here is for custom files that belong to a particular project. If you remember in FPA demo, that one, when I deleted it, left a couple of files behind. It was these type of files. Matter of fact, the two it left behind were these two. If those files exist in a project that you're copying, these would not be grayed out and you could just make a decision, do you want to copy them or not. The way I use the software is I use everything in a global setting. We'll talk about that in part 2. So I use one title block with a global setting, so I don't usually have custom files for a particular job. Now, sometimes I have clients who want that, and so I'll do it for that particular client. But normally, I'm using one title block. Everything's in my support folder, and so I may be using these files like the location and installation files I was showing you earlier, but they're global for all projects, not an individual project. And that's what this dialog box is dealing with. So in this case, I can just say OK. This is what I love about this command. I'm used to seeing the project number as part of my file name. The project I'm copying happens to be project 3647. So I want to change this to this project, which is going to be a different number of 3662, we'll say. I can use the find and replace right here and tell it everywhere you see 3647, change that to 3662, hit OK, and you can see it's renumbered or renamed all my files. I can edit each one individually with the edit command here if I needed to, but generally I'm set up to where all I have to do is say change it from this project number in the file name to another project number. If you don't have anything unique in every project like a project number, you wouldn't even have to do this. But company I came from, we actually included project numbers in every file name, and this made it real simple to be able to change these from one project to another. So I'm going to select OK. It creates the project, activates it as the current project, and as you can see, it also opened up a drawing, got the entire folder structure, and all the file names have been renamed from 3647 to 3662. It's an exact duplicate of Treadstone doing it this way. And I didn't have to go through each one individually and rename the files and stuff, or copy or add them individually. Here's the thing to remember with this one. As you see in my title block down here, it's still got all the information from Treadstone. So right-click on the project and you'll see descriptions. Same description box we saw earlier in the other command. This one we just had to remember to right-click and go get to it that way. I could have done that on the other project too. If I would have skipped it, I could have went and added these later. Notice this one copied what reports were going to be used, which ones are going to be used in reports from the existing project also. But in this case, we'll change this to 3662. I'm going to keep it simple here. We'll say it's Arkham Chemicals. And it's going to be a latex processing plant that's in Gotham City. Of course, that's where Arkham would be. We'll go ahead and change the initials of the check by, which is my engineer. So correct all your descriptions, hit OK. Again, doesn't update the title blocks instantly, but it will in a minute when we get a little bit further. First thing I want to do here, though, is show you how to add a new drawing, just in case you don't know how to. New drawing is this button right here. I'm going to add a new drawing. The name of this one is going to be 3662-E100-01. I'm going to use my reports template, which is the same one I have here, but it's set up because I set my options up there where my template files would be located, and I'm using the reports one here. And then we're going to go ahead and say this is a cover sheet. And the description, this is going to be legend, and we'll say drawing list. Again, I'm typing in all caps for the same reason as before, so that it'll be in all caps when I do it. I'm not going to use the location code because this is for the entire project, but this is going to be sheet number 1, and it will be drawing E100. No section or subsection, again, because this is for the entire project. So I'll say OK. I'm going to apply the project defaults to it so that it gets all the same settings that were in the project to begin with. I happen to be on incineration system, evidently. I don't know how that happened. We'll get rid of that here in a minute. I must have been setting on incineration system. Oh, I don't know where that came from. That's a first. I want this one to be my first drawing, though, in the project, so I'm going to drop it up there, and we'll go ahead and delete this. Remove that subfolder there. But that way it goes up to the top, because if it is at the bottom, then that is where, if I was doing the next, excuse me, if I was on sheet 1 here, it's going to go through these when I hit previous and next that way. But if it's at the top, that's my sequence I want, so I'm going to place it up there. Now, right now, I have 2 sheet 1s. If I looked here, to this sheet 1 of 16. If I go to my next drawing, that one's also sheet 1, but it's sheet 1 of 15 because this one doesn't realize I've added a drawing yet. We'll cover that in a minute. But for now, I've created the drawing. It's my cover sheet, and it's going to be legend and drawing list. We'll come back to this one a little bit later. First, I want to show you some different tools, other tools that are here. I'm going to go ahead and expand all with a right click. And so there's every drawing that's in this particular project, all nice and expanded. Another thing here, I haven't found much use for this, but I have to show you is I can flip the drawing name to uppercase, and it shows it in uppercase. Did not rename the drawings. It's just showing me here in uppercase. Right click again, I can flip them back to lowercase. Again, it's not going to rename the drawings, but some people like to see things in upper and lowercase, so you have that ability. And at any time, you can always use collapse all to collapse everything. I'm going to leave everything expanded for a little while since we're going to be dealing with this. Now, those drawing names don't mean a lot to me. It doesn't tell me which one's a PLC, which one's an air fan. I can't really tell which, is it operator station 1, operator station 2. I can't see that information just by file name. So I like to see a bit more information, and I can do that with the drawing list display configuration right here. This again is machine dependent. So one person could be looking at a project with file names, and another person could be looking at it with descriptions. Another person could be looking at it with sheet numbers. Each person can look at the same project however they want to. I'm going to remove the file name. I like to see things by location, so I'm going to go ahead and put the location code in there. I like to see my sheet numbers, and I like to see a description. Now I use for description 1 my folder name. For description 2 I use the location. So I don't really need it because I'll have that with the location code. And for description 3 it's always unique, so that's the one I'm going to use. Hit OK, and now you can see I can see exactly where everything is in my project, which one's using which operator station, my sheet numbers, and a description of what it is. To me, it's a little bit easier to find what I'm looking for. File name's still there. It's just I'm looking at it differently in my project manager. To me, that's pretty valuable. This is the way I generally do it. Now I want to add a drawing that's not here. Notice there's a sheet 9. If I go over here to Treadstone, that's all there was sheet 9. But over here in minus Tirith, there's a 10th sheet. And I want that 10th sheet right there. The way you copy a drawing from one project to another, first you want to do it in Windows, because I don't want to add it using go in here and add it when it's in another project, because then that drawing is going to belong to 2 different projects. So I'll need a copy of it first. I'm going to go here to minus Tirith. Here's that drawing, E11010, sheet 10. I'm going to make a copy of it. Come back to Arkham and we'll paste it in there. Once I've copied it in Windows, all I have to do, now if I want it to be in a particular folder, then I need to right click on that folder to add it. I'm going to add it to schematic diagram. So I'm going to right click, add drawings. Locate that drawing I just copied, which is this one at the top, 3632 E11010. So I'm going to add that one, apply this one's project defaults. It just saw that I had some terminal blocks in there that are duplicates. This will rename them to where they're not duplicates. And you can see it added it here at the bottom. But notice there's no description. Remember I told you descriptions are stored inside the WDP file, not inside the drawing. So for this particular one, I'm going to go ahead and close this drawing. First, I want to rename it. I can't have it open to rename it because remember this one's a different project number. So I'm going to right click on it and do rename. And I'm going to change it from 3632 to 3662. So I don't see the rename there, but I do see it down here because of the way I'm looking at it. Next, I'm going to go ahead and open it, because when I go to drawing properties here, some of this information I can get from the drop down. I can get that this is schematic diagram. I can get from here that it's a operator station 2. You can see it kept the location code, but this information here did not come over from the other project because they're in the other project WDP file. Description 3 though is unique. I don't have anything in the drop down that matches description 3, so I can use this pick button right here and just simply pick description 3 in my title block, and it copied it into my description here. So I didn't have to retype anything, and I could have done that for all 3 of these actually. For section though, this is area 51 subsection B. Once I've got that set, hit OK. It updated my project manager with the information from description 3. I'm good to go. Now I haven't updated my title block yet, but we're going to get there here in just a minute. First thing I want to do, well, actually we're ready to update the title block, but I'm going to use a different command. I love update retag right here. It's on the project manager, it's on the project tab. With update retag, I'm going to go to here schematic. Notice one thing here, my sheet numbers. I need to fix those. Now I can fix that with the title block update. Fixing those sheet numbers will also, let's go back to sheet 1. close that one open here because this is going to become sheet 2 because I'm using a %S%N code. It's going to fix this from sheet 1 to sheet 2. So it's also, I want to renumber all my components, wire numbers, everything's going to be affected by this sheet number change. Now I could do that a couple of different ways. I could do it manually, but I want to use the update retag. But the update retag does a couple of things. It's doing a component retag just like this command here. It's updating the cross references like that command. It's going to update my wire numbers like, whoop, wrong one. Wire numbers are right there, so forget that one. So it's going to update my wire numbers. I don't need it to do a ladder reference because of the way I'm doing %S%N, it will update that automatically when it renumbers my sheets because it's going to go through and renumber my sheets in sequence here. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And it will do that first and then do all the retagging and stuff. And lastly, my title block update. Once you've got your title block update set up here done, which is again part 2, and you've got everything here set up the way you want it, which is basically my project settings already, it's as simple as just hitting OK, do all, OK, and it's going to go through the entire project and update everything in one command. So I don't have to use each of those 4 or 5 different individual commands. I have them all in one command with this update retag. Now this will take a couple of minutes for it to do it, not a couple of minutes, but it'll take 30 to 45 seconds probably. So while it's doing that, while it's doing that, let's talk about a couple of things that are coming up here in a minute. One of the things that will happen when it finishes updating this is you'll notice my project manager will not update with those sheet numbers. This will still show me a sheet 1, sheet 1, sheet 2, and so on. That won't update just because I did an update retag. Fortunately, I have a command called refresh, which is right up here. I'm not sure if I'll go ahead and try it. Right there. So when it finishes here, in just a minute, it's on sheet 13 right now of 17, I'll be able to hit that refresh and it'll update my project manager with all the different changes. So it's almost finished, it looks like, and I think it's done now. So if I hit refresh, now you can see sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So it renumbered everything. If I look at this particular drawing, let me regen it, come over here, and now you can see everything is updated. My ladder's up to 204, 205, so the sheet's updated. There's my numbering of my components, my wire numbers, everything updated as it was supposed to based on that update retag. As you can see, update retag, title block update, they're both here. Let's see, let's go over here to, not last, but we're almost done here. Let's go over here to this drawing here, and I just want to show you one thing here. I'm going to go ahead and edit the location box, browse, this is all going to be sub R. Yes, scan, all right, task. This is also controlled in the project manager. Whenever you have something that I don't want it to go through each one of these individually and then update the rest of the project, I can task it. With that, you have a task list right here. This was grayed out before, but now it's showing up as a task list here. When I do that one, it'll go through everything that is in that task list. We can select all, hit OK, and now it's going to go through the entire drawing and update all those changes I just made. So let me give you a little advice on the task list. This is not something that you want to have building all day long, because what can happen is if I edit a component, let's say I changed this control relay here, and I saved it to the task list. And then later on today, I came in here and made another change to this and changed it from the first time I changed installation code. Second time I changed my description. What will happen is it'll go through and it might change the description, it might change the installation code here, but here well, let's say it changed the description here, and then it hit this task, and it's going to overwrite this one and change it right back because it's the same piece in the task list. The way you want to do the task list is when you do a bunch of commands and that you're doing, run the task list, then come back and add to the task list, run it again. Don't let it build all day, because if you double edit the same component, one of them will overwrite the other one, and you could get results that you didn't expect. So always run that task list several times in the day to make sure you don't do that. I usually run it after I do something like I just did. I changed a bunch of installation codes. Once I'm done with that, run the task list. Change some descriptions, run the task list. Do it that way. Don't double up stuff. So that's my advice on that. You also have some different things in here to where you can sort. Let's say I'm going to jump this, whoops, I'm going to pull this in. All I have to do to move something is just left click and hold. I can move it. If I wanted to correct that sorting there, right click, and I could sort by, let's say, section, subsection, file path name, however you want to, and notice it sorted it back into the sequence it's supposed to be in. So if you move something, you can use that sort. If you have a drawing you don't need, you can always right click and remove. That will remove it from the project, but it will not delete the drawing. It's still there. If I come over here and look, somewhere in here there's a sheet 10. There's that drawing. It's still there. I just removed it from the project. Lastly, or not lastly, I got two more things here to show you before we go to the PDFs, which will be the conclusion. One of the commands that I like a lot is if I right click here, you'll see exception list. This will tell me any drawings that are in my project that are not set to match the project defaults. You can see here sheet 6, 7, 8, and 9 all are not matching the project defaults. If I went and looked at one of those, we'll look at sheet 6 here. Actually, we'll look at this one. If I look at this one here and go to the drawing properties, see the drawing format's 4.5-inch ladder, not 8-inch ladder. The cross-referencing is doing %N instead of %S. So that one got the wrong numbers completely because I'm using %S, %N. So I would have to update retag anyways because of that one. But what you can do, and this is where the folders come in handy, is I can right-click on schematic diagram and apply project defaults to that entire folder. I don't have to pick each one individually. I can do the entire folder. The reason I like to do that way, notice when I go back to my exception list now, there's still one drawing that is not matching my project defaults, and that's my single line diagram. Why? These are vertical ladders. This is a horizontal ladder. I don't want to match my project defaults because the ladders are made differently. So the folder protects my single line diagrams from me accidentally applying the project defaults to everything in the project. You want to get in the habit, though, of making sure all your drawings have the right project defaults because, again, if I come here, my ladders, 702, but notice my circuit breaker circuit breaker 05A because I did not have the project defaults applied to this particular one. I forgot to show you MTR instead of MOT. That was because of that WD family DAT file. Lastly, for the drawing list here, before we go to the PDFs, let me go in here. I'm going to go ahead and close some drawings here also. I'm not going to bother fixing the ones right now because it's not necessary for here for this particular webinar. But what I do want to show you is one more tool here under the project name. You right click and you'll see drawing list report. We've went through all these but published so far, and that includes these up here. Drawing list report. I'm going to pick one that I already have in the oven and my set files and my drawing set files, which it's going to the company data because of what was set in the WD.ENV file. We'll do a new report, and I'm just going to go ahead and do all of them. And here is my drawing list report for this project now. And I'm going to put it on the drawing. I'm going to use my table that I like. I'm going to give it a title of drawing list. And I'm going to put it on the annotation layer. Everything else I'm going to take the defaults to. Hit OK. And there's my drawing list report coming from the project. Notice everything's not centered. That's what that list routine I have set for it does. If I went to another drawing and back again, that's the quickest way. That list routine will fix it when it opens that drawing so that it fixed my headers and everything. So that's what my little list routine was for. That was also coming from the WD.ENV file. But that's some of the things you can do with the project. The only other thing I want to make sure you can see here is publishing a project. And publishing a project to a PDF is very nice with AutoCAD Electrical because it will remember those links. So I'm going to go up here where it says publish. I could also right click and do it from there, but right here on the menu right here, you'll see publish to PDF or DWF. I'm going to publish to everything in this project. Using the first layout tab, it's going to go to a multi-sheet PDF. This is where the magic is done right here. And I'm going to include the bookmarks and parent-child hyperlinks. Zoom factor set to 50. That's just what percentage it will zoom on when I do those hyperlinks. So it has to be a multi-sheet PDF file. You have to include bookmarks and parent-child hyperlinks if you want to make these intelligent PDFs that are surfable. Go ahead and say OK. Close it. Once you get to this window, we can just hit publish. And I'm going to save it right there in my root folder. And no, I'm not going to save the current list. So it'll just take a second here to go through because I did not do it in the background. My personal preference is not to use the background because I haven't checked it in 2018, but in earlier versions when they added the hyperlinks, they tended not to work quite as well when I published them in the foreground, in the background. So I've gotten the habit of doing my PDFs in the background, in the foreground. Once it's complete here, so I'm opening up the PDF file. We'll come over here to sheet 2. I'll zoom in a little bit where I can see it, and as you see I've got the hand here, so I'll just click that motor starter. It takes me right back over here. If I click it right there, it takes me right back to sheet 1 where I can go to the auxiliary one here, take it right back to the motor starter, click this motor starter, it takes me to the panel, click the panel footprint, takes me right back to the motor starter. If I come down here to the single line diagram, which is down here around this one, we'll pan over a little bit. There's that same motor starter. Click it, takes me right back to the motor starter here on the PDF. So the PDF has intelligent surfing links built into it. All right, I went a little longer than I meant to. That's why I was kind of rushing there at the end. But there's going to be a part 2. That's going to happen on March 27th. It's going to be working with title blocks. It's a little bit less information to cover, so it shouldn't take as long as we just did. It should only take about 45 minutes or so. And that will cover how to set up those title blocks within your project and within the entire within all projects or within a project. You can set it up either way, and we'll go over all the different things here. You can sign up for this on hagerman.com. And now we'll let Clayton tell me if I have any questions I need to answer. No questions? Well, you guys were a quiet group. All right. If you do have any questions, you can contact us at Hagerman, and I will try to answer those offline if you need to. That concludes what I have, and I will turn it back over to Ashley.
Okay, thanks, Rick.
Looks like they're
yes,
just,
this is,
looks like one question just came in. Let me
okay.
see if I can see that. I can't read it on
Okay.
my screen for some reason, so maybe Clayton, if you could read that to me, I can't get it to blow up.
Yes, we have one customer asking if you have a copy of the Lisp routine.
Yes, I do. I actually give it when you take training from me. It's usually included in my training stuff. Send me an email. I can send you that. It's a real simple little Lisp routine. I could send it to you. All right, back over to you, Ashley.
Thanks, Rick. I don't see any others popping up, but I will let people know that if you think of questions later, you can just email Rick directly, or you could respond to that GoToWebinar email that you received, and we can get those to Rick or the appropriate party to answer your questions. Once again, if you could take a few moments to fill out the survey, we would appreciate it. It will just pop up as we close down today. And thanks everyone for attending. Thanks for the presentation, Rick, and have a great day, everybody.